allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
Madam Chair, on one of the sheets of paper, it has a notice you have to read at the beginning. It's a script I gave you earlier.
At the beginning of the meeting or the public hearing?
Meeting is first too.
No, I don't think I have that. Oh, it's one of these.
It's right on top. See it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I call the meeting to order pursuant RSA 91-A:2, Roman numeral 3. I have determined that due to the COVID-19 pandemic that an emergency exists and a physical presence of a quorum is not required. I would ask each of the counselors to state if there is anyone present with them.
Yeah. Council Burns, is there anybody present with you?
No, there is not.
Council Sanders?
No, there is not.
Council Matthews?
Present and alone.
Now back to you. Now,
Great.
seal the minutes.
All right, so our first order of business would be to seal the minutes of our non-public meeting, and I would accept a motion to seal those.
I'll make a motion to seal the minutes from our non-public meeting.
I'll second.
And are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, if you could call the roll, please.
Council Sanders?
Aye.
Council Dumont?
Aye.
Council Kuiper?
Aye.
Council Matthews?
Aye.
Council Burns?
Aye.
Council Weinstein?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
So our first item of business, or next item of business, is for public forum. So if there's anyone from the public who wishes to speak.
Anybody? Oh, Mr.
Can you hear me? Yes, I would like to speak, please.
Yep. So, just state your name and address.
All right. My name is Richard Perrin, Perrin. I'm a partnership specialist with the U.S. government and the United States Census Bureau. I'm going to take about 2 minutes of your time to just go over quickly the 2020 census. Right now in Newmarket, you folks are doing very, very well. There are 3 points I'd like to go over. The census is very, very easy to fill out. It takes about 8 minutes with my family. The kids down the street did it in about 6. It's very, very easy to do. There are 12 languages on the phone and 59 languages online. If you need help filling out, it's a very, very easy process. It's very safe. It's confident, secure. We have to go through a very, very much of an oath. If we break the oath, we could be facing a $500,000 fine or 5 years in jail, which neither, quite frankly, I can afford. So we don't ask anything on behalf of a political party, bank, so credit card numbers, anything like that. No money and no citizenship questions are on the census form. Finally, the last thing is the importance of the census, which it's still going on because we've been delayed by COVID like everybody else has. It's very important to every town and city in New Hampshire because anybody that depends on funding depends on the census numbers. There's $675 billion that will be allocated to the states right down to the city level, town level, for all the programs that you do. Anything kind of programs, lunch programs, seniors, bridges, roads, all comes from the census numbers. So thusly, the higher the number, the better the funding for your town. Right now, as I mentioned, Newmarket is doing very, very well. The national rate is 62.1%. New Hampshire is also at 62.1%. And Newmarket is 68.9%, which is 59th in the state out of 234 communities. So again, you folks are doing very, very well. Again, we're asking for your help. You folks are the trusted voices. If you can get some information out on your website, your newsletter, Facebook page, just if you could get on 2020census.gov would be a big help to put on the page, and people can respond from that site and go get maps, see how their response rate is. Again, it's 2020census.gov. And if you need to, I can send you a census media kit, which has more information about the things that you can post. It has all sorts of response rates information, graphics, videos, sample messages, things like that. Be more than happy to send that, and you can use whatever you'd like. If I give you 12 yards of information, you may only need 1. So I'd be happy to send that to you. Again, Richard Perrin is my name, a partnership specialist with the U.S. government, with the U.S. Census Bureau. and very much would like to have you folks raise your response rate for the census, so it would depend on the funding that you receive. Any questions?
Great, thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak?
Thank you for your time.
All right. So moving on, we have a public hearing tonight for Resolution 2020-2021-01, which is the Community Development Block Grant Funds. Do we want to start with a presentation? Or do I need to? I need to
read this.
Okay.
You want me to read the first part?
Sure.
Okay. The Community Development Block Grant Funds are available to municipalities in the New Hampshire Community Development Finance Authority. Up to $500,000 annually is available for economic development projects, up to $500,000 for public facilities project, and up to $500,000 for housing projects, and up to $350,000 for emergency activities, and up to $25,000 available for planning study grant. All CDBG projects must directly benefit low and moderate income persons. This is a proposed application for the Community Development Finance Authority for up to $500,000 in Community Development Block Grant Housing Funds. The town will pay up to $25,000 for administrative expenses, and the remainder will be used to upgrades to 50 residential units of Great Hill Terrace, Newmarket's low-income public housing project, NH13-01, operated by the Newmarket Housing Authority, at 34 Gordon Ave, Newmarket, New Hampshire. Upgrades may include the replacement, piping, air source, heat pumps, kitchen and or roofing improvements, etc. The majority of the residents are low or moderate income. This project conforms with the Newmarket Housing and Community Development Plan's goal, encourage a varied stock of safe, sanitary, decent, and affordable housing for persons of all age and income groups, short-term and long-term goals. The public hearing is on the resident, so we need a public hearing on this one first. So if we could open the public hearing.
So I will open the public hearing now at 7:12. Seeing no one who wishes to speak, I will close the public hearing at 7:12 p.m.
The next public hearing is for the public hearing residential anti-displacement and relocation assistance plan for Newmarket Housing Authority improvement projects. This plan states in general that if the town were to undertake a CDBG project which involved displacement and resulting relocation, they would follow the Uniform Relocation Act requirements. The residential anti-displacement and relocation assistance plan outlines the measures they would take to find comparable housing for persons or businesses displaced and or relocated. Temporary relocation may be required. If the temporary relocation is required, tenants will be housed in another unit on site, a modular unit, or another unit in or near town. The Newmarket Housing Authority will pay temporary relocation costs.
So again, I will open the public hearing at 7:13. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing at 7:13.
The next public hearing is the public hearing on the proposed project, the New Road Water Improvement Project. A proposed application to Community Development Finance Authority for up to $500,000 in Community Development Block Grant Public Facilities Funds for water line improvements to New Road in Newmarket. The majority of the residents served by New Road water line are of low or moderate income. This project conforms with the Newmarket Housing and Community Development Plan goal of encouraging municipal and private water and wastewater systems that are safe, sanitary, and meet DES regulations. It's a short-term and long-term goal.
And I will open it up for public comment now at 7:13 p.m. Seeing no one from the public who wishes to speak, I will close the public hearing at 7:14 p.m.
The next public hearing is for the public hearing on the residential anti-displacement and relocation assistance plan for New Road Water Improvements Project. This plan states in general that if the town were to undertake a CDBG project which involved the displacement and resulting relocation, they would follow the Uniform Relocation Act requirements. The residential anti-displacement and relocation assistance plan outlines the measures that they would take to find comparable housing for persons or businesses displaced and or relocated. No relocation is anticipated for this project.
And I will open it for public comment at 7:14. Seeing no one from the public, I will close the public hearing at 7:14.
The next public hearing is on housing public hearing proposed project Daycare planning study project. The proposed application, Community Development Finance Authority, for up to $25,000 in Community Development Block Grant Planning Studies funds for proposed infant toddler daycare to be sponsored by the Live Together program. The study to finance an income survey, a property appraisal and review appraisal, structural analysis of existing building versus new construction, preliminary design construction cost estimates, and environmental review. This project conforms to Newmarket Housing Community Development Plan's goal to encourage and improve social services, which provides assistance to low and moderate income persons. It's a short-term and a long-term goal.
And I will open up the public hearing at 7:15. Seeing no one from the public who wishes to speak, I will close the public hearing at 7:15.
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
did you look at, Madam Chair, the screen, the next view?
Oh, sorry. There's too much.
Members of the council don't speak during public hearing, they speak at the regular session, business
Hey.
session.
Tony, we have a request from a member of the public to speak.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
We had a request from a member of the public to speak. I don't think they were talking, we could hear them, but I don't know if you could hear them. They wanted to speak to point 3. It's Ree Cooper.
Yes.
Can I go?
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay. I'm Ree Cooper, 2 Bass Street. Dear members of the Newmarket Town Council, I am speaking to address the application to the CDF in the amount of $25,000 for a CDBG grant money for the proposed preschool childcare site sponsored by Link Together. A short time ago, Meredith Nadeau, then superintendent of the Newmarket School District, approached me. The owner of the property at 241 South Main Street had approached her about the school district purchasing the property. At that time, the school just received the vote from the community to improve the 2 schools and didn't feel that they could ask for more money. She asked if Link Together would be interested in the property, and this started our process. After proposing the idea to my board of directors, I then approached the principal of the elementary school and some of the staff there to see if there was any interest for childcare near the school. Everyone was excited, and I moved forward. Newmarket School District has only one community contributing tax dollars to the school budget. Other local school districts have several communities, so they can't offer higher salary benefits. Older teachers are retiring and being replaced by younger teachers. Younger teachers want to start families. This is where the problem of keeping quality teachers come in. The need for childcare is an increasing concern and a factor when selecting a job. Centers are full and they are placed on a waiting list. Young teachers make less money than the older teachers that they are replacing, and having affordable childcare near the school would be a big benefit in retaining teachers in the school district and open up spots for low to moderate income families in the community. The desired goal of this site would be first to provide affordable developmental childcare so the district can retain quality teachers, and the remaining spots would be to meet the childcare for the community. This grant money would assist us in giving us the tools needed to see if this is a feasible project. It would allow us to finance an income study, get a property appraisal and a review, structural analysis of the existing building to see if it would better to keep that building or demolish and start new construction, and what the cost elements with construction would be, in a new environmental study. This information would assist us to complete a successful application to submit in January. Thank you for your consideration of this project.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak?
Councilor Dumont, can you mute your?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry that I almost skipped over Reed. So seeing no other people from the public who wish to speak, I will close the public hearing at 7:18.
The next public hearing is for the residential anti-displacement and relocation system plan for daycare study project. This plan states in general that if the town were to undertake a CDBG project which involved the displacement resulting relocation, they would follow Uniform Relocation Act requirements. The residential anti-displacement and relocation system plan outlines the measures they would take to find comparable housing for person or businesses displaced or relocated. There's no relocation anticipated, and this is just a study.
And I will open the public hearing at 7:19 p.m. So seeing none, I will close the public hearing at 7:19 p.m.
And Madam Chair, there's one more public hearing on the community, on the housing and community development plan. The proposed Housing and Community Development Plan outlines goals for Newmarket, the same goals as the 2016 Housing and Community Development Plan. The 2016 plan has been expanded to encompass the CDFA new example wording that includes national and state objectives and outlines the required CDBG citizen plan participation plans. The Newmarket's Housing and Community Development Plan goals are to encourage a varied stock of safe, sanitary, and decent and affordable housing for persons of all age and income groups, which is a short and long-term goal. To encourage economic development activities to increase the quality of industrial and commercial development, which encourages the expansion and retention of employment opportunities for residents, which is a short and long-term goal. To encourage municipal and private water and wastewater systems that are safe, sanitary, and meet the DES regulations, which is a short and long-term goal. Preserve and promote the town's historic and cultural significant structures, short and long-term goal. Encourage and improve social services, which provides assistance to low and moderate income persons, which is short and long-term goal. And finally, to promote activities that protect the health and safety of residents and visitors, which is short and long-term goal.
And I will open the public hearing at 7:20. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing at 7:20. And moving on. Steve, can you pull your mic closer?
Sure.
The next item on our agenda is a public meeting for the Lamprey River Drawdown. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak?
I'll just read the in accordance.
Oh, sure.
In accordance with the Wetlands Bureau permit application approved by DES, the Town of Council will hold a public meeting on July 15th, 2020 at 7 p.m. to discuss the drawdown of the Lamprey River beginning September 1st, 2020 through October 31st, 2020, prior to reconstruction of the McCowan Dam.
Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak regarding the Lamprey River Drawdown? Seeing none, I will close the public meeting at 7:22 p.m. Next, we have acceptance of minutes, and the first item is from our June 10th, 2020 meeting, our goal-setting meeting minutes, and I would accept a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the June 10th, 2020 goal-setting meeting.
Second.
Are there any questions or changes, corrections? Counselor Matthews.
Hey, Tony, I think the question is, when we're looking at these, should we be really focusing more on content? I just had 2 changes for like grammar and spelling, but is that kind of overkill?
Usually Scrivener, it's more content. If you have like a grammatical thing, we can just let us know and we can fix those.
Okay.
I will say I had one change, and that was it was line 11, and it said Counselor Casey Finch will arrive late, and he wasn't able to make it, so we might want to note that. And so seeing no other changes, if you could call the roll, please.
Counselor Sanders.
Aye.
Counselor Dumont.
Aye.
Counselor Kuiper.
Aye.
Counselor Matthews.
Aye.
Counselor Burns.
Aye.
Counselor Weinstein.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
And then next, I would accept a motion to approve the June 17th, 2020 meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the June 17th, 2020 meeting minutes.
Second.
Are there any questions, changes, corrections? Seeing none, if you could call the roll, please.
Counselor Sanders.
Aye.
Counselor Dumont.
Aye.
Counselor Kuiper.
Aye.
Counselor Matthews.
Aye.
Counselor Burns.
Aye.
Counselor Weinstein.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
And the next item is the town manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Some things are not on my written report because it's been flexed as normal with our COVID-19 response. First, I want to give an update on our gopher reimbursement. These are all costs that the town has incurred since the beginning of the pandemic that aren't FEMA reimbursable, which are basically anything that's not police, fire, highway type situation. As of today, we're submitting an application for $23,949.03 to be reimbursed from the Gopher Fund. We're anticipating to ask from FEMA for roughly about $19,000 at this point in time. There still is a substantial amount of money out there that's left for Newmarket, so we'll be reviewing that as well. Just to let you know, the town hall, we have reopened portions of the town hall to the public. As you're aware, the town clerk is now accepting visitors on a limited basis. We are also slowly allowing others to enter town hall. Just to let everyone know, visitors must wear a mask, and we do provide them with one if they do not have one. Not in my written report also is probably many are aware that the governor and the Department of Education released their reopening suggestions or guidelines. We have not discussed yet with the school district on their reopening plans. However, a portion of it does suggest that the school district have a discussion with the local public health officials as well as emergency management, which, as the council is aware, we have an emergency management team of myself as emergency management director, the two chiefs and the health officer. So we'll be reaching out to the school district to work with them on the reopening plans. And finally, late last week, there was a decision came down from district court on the city of Nashua's mask ordinance, in which the court is allowing it to stand at this point in time due to, while it's being being reviewed, I'm sorry, not reversed. There is an RSA that they're quoting that allows cities and town council towns to adopt ordinances, and I'm trying to pull that up, I apologize, I don't have it right in front of me. It is 4717. Which states /15, which is miscellaneous bylaws relative to the grades of street, a lot of other things, including burial grounds, but also ends up with that they may make any other bylaws and regulations which they may seem for the well-being of the city. But no bylaw or ordinance shall be repugnant to the constitutions or laws of the state. And such bylaws and ordinances shall take effect and be enforced from the time therein limited without the sanction or confirmation of any other authority whatever. So the question is, and the police chief and I discussed it briefly, is that something the council would like for the staff to review? Pursuant to the town charter, you do have the ability to adopt an emergency ordinance, which would bypass all the regulations of having a public hearing, because we would not be able to have two readings. It wouldn't go on until September. But as an emergency ordinance, due to the pandemic, it would sunset in 61 days after the adoption. At that point in time, you could adopt a permanent ordinance to move forward if you would like to have that done for the next meeting. And I guess I'm just asking more about what was the wish of the council situation?
I just have a quick question. So are you suggesting that we adopt something tonight?
No.
Okay.
No, you would adopt it at the August meeting.
Okay.
Or if the council wishes to have an emergency meeting, you could do so as well.
Okay. Councilor Kuiper.
Would that be a mask mandate or a?
It's basically, the natural one is if you should wear one in public places, basically what the guidelines are. If you're within 6 feet of everybody, we would say no fines at this point. We would say education from officials if it's a obvious violation of the ordinance. But I think we just need to do more research, but we want to get, since this is the time we can meet with the council, that's something you would like us to move forward with, just want to get sort of a sense of the council.
Councilor Sanders.
I don't know if anyone else is, but I'm having a lot of trouble hearing when Steve is talking. It's kind of getting in and out.
Can you hear me? Or is it still cutting in and out?
I can hear you now, but for a while you were cutting in and out.
Okay, I'll make sure I'm right on the microphone.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, Councillor Sanders, did you have any questions about what the town manager said?
Because he was cutting in and out, is this something we need to decide tonight that we can talk
No,
about?
what I'm asking is this something the council would like me to move forward with and try to draft an emergency ordinance for adoption at their August meeting? I'm just trying to get a sense of the council.
Councillor Matthews.
Sorry, Steve, could you clarify what this is? So you would look into passing something that says that every member of the public that is on public property has to wear a mask, and if they don't, they'll get education, or this is just a strongly recommended wording.
Let me pull up exactly what, we still do a lot of research. Let me pull up the national ordinance and I can tell you what it says. Because we're gonna, I would highly recommend that if we do it similar to the one that's in the book. So National Board of Health adopts and urges the Board of Aldermen to approve the emergency order as follows. Employees of all businesses shall wear a face covering over their mouth and nose when interacting with the public and whenever they are within 6 feet of a coworker or customer. Members of the public entering any businesses, including without limitation any outdoor area where businesses of any sort is conducted, works at a government building, must wear a face covering such as fabric, scarf, bandana over their mouth and nose. Members of the public entering a restaurant for the purpose of picking up food, takeout, or any other purpose must wear a face covering over their mouth and nose. Members of the public dining outdoors at a restaurant may remove face covering while seated at their table. Residents, visitors, and members of the public entering or present at a residential or commercial building complex of greater than 2 units must wear a face covering over their nose and mouth while in common areas and communal spaces. In use here, in face covering means any covering made of cloth, fabric, and or other soft or permeable material without holes that covers only the nose, mouth, and surrounding areas of the lower face. A face covering may be factory made or homemade and improvised from ordinary household material. Notwithstanding the above order, does not require children under the age of 10 years of age to wear face coverings. Parents should make their own judgment. Face covering is not recommended for children less than 2 years of age. And a face covering also is not required to be worn by any person if said person can show a medical professional is advised that wearing a face covering may pose a risk to said person or health-related reasons. It's basically codifying what the recommended guidelines on face masks in public from the state. Because remember, that's just a recommendation to wear masks in public, and this would codify it as an ordinance.
Councillor Dumont.
Yes, I think that we should not pursue adopting something like this. I understand that it may be ruled appropriate by the courts, but I don't think it's appropriate for this body to adopt. I think that what we have now with the state recommendations are more than enough. I would encourage everybody to wear a face mask, especially if they're at risk for potentially catching coronavirus or COVID-19, that is, or any sort of infectious flu. I don't think it's the government's right to regulate whether or not we wear a face mask. That's just my 2 cents.
Are there any other comments? Councillor Burns.
Yes, sorry, I'm just pulling my thing back up. Okay, so, so my thought on this is that this is a health situation. And my thought is that maybe we move forward with looking, drawing up the ordinance and having it voted and any comments made regarding it so we can do it that way. I don't want to just say, no, let's not do this and not move any, not hear any more input from it. So my opinion is, there's other health regulations around for various reasons, and we have those in place. So I think that we should at least move forward with drawing up the ordinance and having the discussion and going through the process.
Counselor Kuiper.
I agree with Councilor Burns that, we drop the ordinance, or if you could drop the ordinance and then, people now have a month to give us feedback. And if there's overwhelming support for or against, then, we will know that then. Also, who knows, by then, things could be significantly worse or significantly better, as the case may be, so.
Counselor Sanders.
Councilor Sanders, you're muted.
You're muted.
How's that? That better?
Yep.
I agree with Amy and with John. I would like to see the ordinance drawn up. I'd also like to know that now that this is in the public domain, that we're discussing this, maybe getting some feedback from the public, monitoring what's going on the community chat boards and see what people's opinions are before we make any decisions at the next meeting.
Counselor Burns.
She doesn't.
That's old, sorry.
Oh, that's old. Oh, okay. Counselor Matthews.
So, Steve, I'm reading the national one. So it doesn't cover, though, in public. It looks like it's saying that if you're going to a business, if you're on business property, but this doesn't seem to cover if you're on a sidewalk. Am I reading this correctly?
That is correct.
Okay, so it's just going into businesses. It's just going into public spaces.
That is
It
correct.
is covering outdoor restaurants.
Yep.
Have we seen a situation like this where a similar municipality has adopted an ordinance that is currently facing a lawsuit that is going to be resolved while we try to think about adopting that same ordinance?
No, but because it's not, usually we do this as part of because of the pandemic, we're seeing a lot more of the emergency ordinances. The city of Portsmouth is drafting one, as well as I believe the town of Durham will be acting on one shortly. So it is going around. Other communities are doing that now that this decision has come out.
So I'm not seeing any other comments, but so I'll just put in my 2 cents too, if I can. So I absolutely agree that we should pursue this and see what happens. I think that the science has said wearing face masks is what can prevent COVID-19 and is going to make the difference for our community, for our businesses, and our residents. So I would like to see us definitely pursue it.
Okay, so as hearing that, I will work with the emergency management team and town attorney to draft an emergency ordinance for the council's review at the next meeting. Back to my written report. With the addition of Bill Tappan as our new finance director, IT director, I've asked him to review the departmental organization, reorganize to better fit the needs of the department and the town. We're going to be proposing changing the name to the Department of Finance Administration. In that department, we'll have the following divisions: Channel 13 and Digital Media, HR and Payroll, Accounts Payable, and IT Network. This will not increase our current staffing, but will better define the duties of the employees. We'll have an amendment to the administrative code shortly, as I brought to the ordinance committee's attention, and I'm including what we're proposing as a new administrative chart as part of my report. Just some informational items too that could have a large impact on the residents of Newmarket. The New Hampshire Department of Transportation has announced that a 5-day closure of US Route 4 in Durham to facilitate the replacement of Bunker Creek Bridge, beginning Sunday, July 19th at 11 p.m. and lasting approximately 5 days. US Route 4 will be closed to all through traffic. This phase of work will include demolition of existing bridge, installation of new precast bridge elements, including bridge abutments and superstructure, and final placement of lightweight fill and roadway materials and pavement. They're going to be detouring people around Route 4, and while they're saying mainly to go up Route 108 to Spalding Turnpike through Dover, we know that that's also we're going to probably have a number of people come from down Route 108 through town. So just next week or so, anticipate some additional traffic through the downtown area. The next is the police chief and I have been working on some parking issues. One of the ideas that we want to look at, which is smart parking, otherwise known as meters. They have a nice name for it. And we're going to be getting a demonstration shortly on this. The police chief will be wishing to have a demonstration for the council later this fall to continue discussions. And that is all I have tonight, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilor Matthews.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think Steve must have a bum mic. It's just so hard hearing him. He keeps going in and out. Started talking about Route 4 and then lost him. So I don't know if it's possible to change the mic or something, but we're having a really hard time hearing him. It's just his mic.
Everyone else you can hear everyone else?
Yeah, everyone else is super clear, so I think something might be wrong with the mic.
So, I'll wait.
Is that better?
Much better.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Tim.
All right. Were there any comments about the town manager's report or the department reports? All right, I have a few.
Okay.
So, I will keep monitoring this in case anybody else wants to chime in. But just a couple things that I wanted to mention. One, in the police report, I really appreciated, first of all, the story about Detective Stevens. I thought that was a really great example of the work that our police officers do every day. And then also, it was sad to see that Officer Drew will be leaving. And I wondered, now that we are in the new fiscal year, if, because we did approve the budget which added another police officer, and are there plans to hire that, or is that on hold? I'm just kind of curious where things are at.
As of right now, we are going to go back to cautiously spending the budget that was approved. Looking at all numbers for possible resurgences of the virus, it looks like we possibly could get hit again in November if nothing else changes. So we're going to be cautiously expending the budget. The other part of that was I forgot about this, the governor does have an order out there now that allows the council to reduce the budget if we determine that we don't have the revenues, but we have to specifically say we don't have the revenues coming in order to reduce it. So at this point in time, though, we don't know because we're only 3 weeks into the budget, and revenues are actually on target right now. But we will be cautious, but yes, we'll be hiring that position.
Councilor Matthews.
Just in the department reports, I just wanted to highlight that Sean wrote that the Macintosh well will be out of service for 18 months, so we're back to stage 2, which means even odd watering. And then Steve, the Sunrise Center, they're doing a great job. It said reaching out for absentee ballots for our vulnerable seniors. Is the town going to plan on doing another push for getting people to do absentee ballots when we push the information on the new wards, if we pass it?
Yeah, part of if the resolution is adopted tonight, we'll include in the information on the new wards that you also, due to the COVID-19, you're allowed to have request an absentee ballot, and we'll submit that information, how to get that if they don't feel comfortable.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Councilor Dumont.
Yeah, Steve, I wanted to go back to that ordinance the governor's order regarding reducing our budget. If it got to the point where we had to reduce the budget, is that something where we would do it by just a set percentage amount, or do we have the ability to go line by line where we think it's not necessary to make the expenditures?
Well, the emergency ordinance states that under our form of government, the town manager makes the recommendation to the council,
Okay.
and the council then either approves it or disapproves it.
So you could say A, N, and P, we can't spend money on, bring it to us.
Which
We
I
don't
would
have to
probably do.
say. Okay, thank you.
The next item that I had was regarding solid waste, And I spent some time looking at the solid waste numbers, and I actually had a conversation with Rick Molaski about it, because I had some questions. And I think just in general, what I'm hoping to get at some point is a report, whether it's once a year, twice a year, quarterly, that would just give us the big picture around solid waste, because I think that there are all of these pieces. And, there's the tipping fees, and then our contract with Casella, and Mr. Fox, and then the revenues. And so it's hard, at least for me, to kind of wrap my head around the bigger picture, knowing, and I say that because knowing that we only have a one-year contract, the recycling market, there are a lot of fluctuation, is probably the kindest way to put it, with the recycling markets. And I'd like to know kind of the bigger picture sooner rather than later, so.
Yeah, we can do that.
Councilor Matthews.
Hey, Steve, when do you expect us, or do you have preliminary numbers on how property tax bills are coming in? For example, are we at a similar percent as last year? Are we low? Are we high?
We're at a similar percent as last year.
So not a significant drop.
No.
Okay, good. Thank you.
One of the things that was really interesting in my conversation with Rick was, and probably due to COVID and people being home, that they have seen a really big increase in construction debris at the transfer station, as well as more tonnage in recyclables, more tonnage in garbage.
And that's not just Newmarket, that's everywhere. When everybody's stuck at home, we all saw that with the extra long lines at the hardware stores and do-it-yourself stores, as well as we heard the numbers for recycling of certain things that people are doing a lot more while in quarantine. So yes, we're seeing the recycling, the volume going up because they've been home the last few months.
Councilor Dumont.
Yes, I was kind of curious to know, I was going back through the previous department report from June, and I didn't see it mentioned in the current department, or I don't remember if it was June, it was the one from our previous meeting, but Rick had mentioned that they had seen an uptick in calls related to COVID-19 in the area. I didn't see that necessarily reflected in this one. I wasn't sure if he still had that large jump in calls, or if that's...
Yeah, the June jump was because of May.
Okay,
Because when you do the June report, that's from what happened in May.
thank you.
Which was still,
I wasn't sure if that was still
no,
carrying over.
we've seen, if anything, the opposite. Our numbers have been going down.
Fair enough. Thank you.
And then the last item that I had, almost last, was just a shout out to the rec department, and I'm always just so impressed with the staff and the program that we have, and with Amy in particular, who's our recreation director. So her dedication, her communication, her flexibility is really just, it's just wonderful, and I think it's made parents feel comfortable, and I know that she's got an incredibly hard job right now, and so I'm just thankful that she's at the helm and doing the best that she can. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned her. And then the only other item that I had was a question for you, Steve, and that's with our goals that we did with Primex. Do you have an idea? Do you think that we'll have those for August?
I hope so. I'll find out.
Great. Moving on, committee reports. Are there any committee reports?
I have one, I just can't find the button.
Okay. Councilor Dumont.
Thanks. The Ordinance Oversight Committee had its first meeting a few weeks back. We, if I'm remembering correctly, agreed to meet Monday, August 3rd for our next meeting. And we're going to go over Chapter 2 of our municipal code. Basically, what we decided as a committee is that we're going to go section by section. We're going to spend a couple weeks' time going through if there's anything glaring that we need to address, if there's anything of concern, if there's anything that our town manager has for us to talk about that we think needs revision, such as a mask ordinance, for example. We'll be able to spend that time going through and giving it the shakedown that it needs before we bring it to the council. So I'm hoping that in our meeting next month, we'll have some good topics to discuss. And if you do have anything, please send it to us, because it's the perfect committee to talk about these type of issues. Thank you.
Councillor Sanders.
The Arts and Tourism Committee had its first meeting via Zoom. We came up with 11 suggestions for things to do, the Arts and Tourism Committee to look into. The next meeting will be next Tuesday at 7 o'clock via Zoom again. And we're going to each come up with our 3 top ones and see if we can decide on one to work on for the next couple of months. Oh, and we are still short a member, so if anyone would like to apply to be on the committee, we're looking for yet one more person to join us.
Great, thank you. Councillor Matthews.
The planning board met yesterday, so we had a couple actions. We approved an extension for a Cheney project just south of the railroad tracks, which is a mixed-use commercial with, I think it was 10 to 12 two-bedroom units, so he's got an extension for a year. We approved a continuation for another Cheney project on Hersey Lane, which is about another 10 single-family homes. And then also the planning board agreed to look into the detached ADU issue, so 2 members, that's myself and Jamie Bruton, will be looking into that and are going to probably rely on our favorite Diane as well.
Great, and then the Energy and Environment Committee did meet, and so a couple of things. We're working on an RFP for a solarized program for Newmarket. It would be a residential program promoting solar power and would not have any cost to the town. We've started researching community power, and the committee has asked that the town council forms an electric aggregation committee, or determines that the current Energy and Environment Committee serves as the EAC. So I'm going to have a conversation with Steve about that and drafting a resolution to make that happen. And I will also be providing information to the council about the program and what it would entail. And then lastly, we became a municipal member of Clean Energy New Hampshire, which is very exciting. Councillor Matthews.
I just wanted to provide an update for the impact fee subgroup. So we met on the 7th and discussed the 3 impact fees that we currently have. I think it was pretty apparent from the letter that we all received that the getting rid of the water impact fee and moving to a system development charge makes a lot of sense. But at this point in time, our options seemingly are scrap the impact fees or redo them. It seems like we haven't done them, and I think it was about 20 years. So Diane is going to help look into the costs on having a review done. And that review could look at, do we want to keep impact fees? Do we want to add any more? But at this point in time, our actions are either we're going to have to update or remove, and hopefully the numbers she'll get will help us make that decision.
Great, and then I just also wanted to comment about the Conservation Commission. There was I don't know if it met or not, I'm not the representative to the Conservation Commission, but there was a project that there's a concern about parking on Neal Mill Road, and the chair of the Conservation Commission brought that to Steve's attention and my attention, and Steve worked with the Department of Public Works, with Rick, and they came up really quickly with a workable solution in order to create a little bit of parking on the side of the road. So I think that it was a great solution for everybody involved. And that's all I have. I'm not seeing any other councilors to speak, so we can move on to old business, and that's resolutions in the second reading. And so our first, our resolution tonight is resolution 2019-2020, creating wards for the upcoming state primary and general elections. And I would accept a motion to approve that resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2019-2020-35, the establishment of voting districts.
I'll second that.
Madam Chair, before we go into discussion, the town clerk reviewed the list, and while we thought we had every road on there were a few that are no longer roads and some that are now our public roads that we just wanted to have included. Councilors, I provided, that are not here, I emailed you the new wording that would be an amendment. And what I would ask is if, after I read these, that a councilor make a motion to amend to include these revisions. So for Ward 1, we would add Boulder Drive, Church Street, Heron Point, Kent Place, Myers Way, Osprey Lane, Penstock Way, Seacliff Bay Road, Washington Street. And we would eliminate the American Legion Alley, Fire Lane A185, Lamprey River Trailer Park, Twin Rivers Condominium. And those would be removed from Ward 1. And for Ward 2, we would add Dartmouth Circle, Fieldstone Estates, Jerry Ave, Great Cove Drive, Great Hill Terrace, Green Road, Hayden Place, Jacobs Well Road, Kittredge Square, Mead Hill Road, Tucker's Way, Tuff Street, and Yale Street. And we would remove Gary Ave, Grant Street, Mert Gray Road, Old Lee Road, Old Route 108, Rockingham Junction, and Sleepy Hollow Trailer Park, and Treatment Plant Road.
So I would accept an amendment to
I will make a motion to amend as stated.
Second.
So, I know that our town clerk and town moderator are both here, I don't know.
You need to first you're discussing the amendment.
Oh, sorry.
So we didn't vote on the amendment, then the full resolution.
Thanks. So is there any discussion on the amendment? If you vote, Councilor Matthews.
Just to add a little detail, the reason why these changes probably are is that they use the New Hampshire DOT roads data layer, which can be outdated. It gets updated, not that frequently. So this happens all the time with this data set. So it's just something we have to keep an eye out for. And we can make permanent updates, but that's a discussion for a different time.
Thank you. Seeing no other councilors to speak, if you could call the roll, please.
Councilor Sanders.
Aye.
Councilor Dumont.
Aye.
Councilor Kuiper.
Aye.
Councilor Matthews.
Aye.
Councilor Burns.
Aye.
Councilor Weinstein.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Now for discussion on the main topic. When we began, well, not we began, but when the pandemic hit, one of the things we were concerned about was the safety of the individuals at the polling places. The Secretary of State's Office of the State has established a committee to review safety procedures for voting at both the September primary as well as the November general election. We internally also began looking at the moderator, the town clerk, and myself, and we determined that getting social distancing, especially at the September primary, where it's going to be in this in the town hall auditorium, would be very difficult for all the voters. Our concern was having, and also having long lines for both polling places. Because remember, we still have to be 6 feet apart, and just trying to get the number of people in here or into the high school, we'd be snaking people down the street if we have a contentious election. So what we did is we worked with the town attorney and determined that we would for just this year, during the pandemic, established 2 voting districts. And they're done geographically, so it's about 50-50% population. We had the Stratford Regional Planning Commission, who's a neutral, independent agency, review the map and review the populations and came up with that division. It's, we understand that it's difficult, but we also want to make sure that those people who determine they want to come to the polls will feel safe at the polls. And by doing this, we believe that we can achieve that. We still encourage people to, if they don't feel safe, to get absentee ballots. We will, as we mentioned earlier, be advertising on, informing all the voters of which district they're in, as well as how to get an absentee ballot. And we'll be trying to get as much information out as possible in answering calls and trying to get people to work the polls too, because we got to make sure that people who can work them aren't in danger as well. We are securing PPE from the state as well as other materials. And the moderator and the town clerk are here if they have any additional comments.
Councilor Dumont.
Yes, just a couple, and town manager, if you want to direct these as deemed necessary. Do we have any data yet on the number of absentee ballots that have been requested?
I would have to ask the town clerk. I don't have that.
So as of this afternoon, when we closed, for the state primary, we have 66 requests, and for the general election, we have 89.
Awesome. In terms of your staffing concerns, I was also curious about the voting equipment. So obviously, if you've never voted before, we have those machines, they take all the votes in, we secure the ballots in boxes. Are we going to see any noticeable jumps in costs there, any potential issues by having to double our equipment, anything related to that nature?
So at this time, we're working on securing a second machine, and it has not been guaranteed that we're going to get that, but I should know closer to the end of the month whether or not we're going to be allowed to get that. Those machines that are available are being offered to hand count towns first.
Okay.
So our request is in, I'm second on the list, so now I'm just waiting to hear.
Understood. And obviously, we have one moderator. In terms of ensuring that things remain relatively civil at both locations, how do you plan on addressing those concerns?
We're gonna have to appoint an assistant moderator.
Okay.
And so there will be, I have a deputy town clerk, so she'll be at one location, I'll be at another, we'll have a moderator at one, assistant moderator at another.
Thank you. Last question. I promise this is an easy one. If you're a Newmarket resident and you would like to volunteer on election day, both of them, to help out, what is the best way to go about doing that?
You can email me directly. So my email is just tlittlefield@newmarketnh.gov.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Hawkins, did you have?
So we just wanted to address a little bit about safety and things that we've been made aware of. So every 2 weeks, the moderators have a call with the Secretary of State, the town clerks, and also supervisors of the checklist. So on all of our calls, we're updated as to what the state's doing, what they're going to be presenting, the funds available, everything. So we have a significant list of PPE that's going to be delivered by the National Guard at some point soon. That's ranging from, they call them spit shields, the shields that sit on the tables, N95 masks, oh boy, there's such an extensive list. Gowns and gloves and the face shields, disposable, masks. Everyone is going to be provided. We're an AccuVote town, which means we use the machine. So we're going to be provided with pens that people are going to take with them. When they come into the polls, we're going to be provided with, when you pick up your ballot, you're also going to get like a paper, something that you put on the surface where you vote, and you're going to take that with you and you're going to throw it out. So that's going to eliminate our need for a lot of cleaning. So the state they are thinking this through more than I think I could ever. So we have been told that we're going to receive all of this. So hopefully within the next few weeks we will have that. And then once we know whether or not this gets approved tonight, then we're going to start working and moving forward, making sure we have everything else that we need and everything works as smooth as possible.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is, as Steve said, we started talking about this months ago because we saw this problem coming. And absentee ballots, we certainly encourage people to utilize them. North Conway is roughly comparable to Newmarket in terms of population. I think they had 60%, 50 or 60% absentee ballots in their town election because they postponed it into May or June. So absentee ballots we anticipate will pick up significantly. The state is making provisions in law to allow us to start processing those ballots well in advance of election day because the processing of absentee ballots, having done it for the past 7 years or so, is very time consuming. So we have to have some sanity, so they're going to allow us to process. Process meaning open the envelopes, make sure that there is at least some kind of a signature. We don't compare signatures anymore. And we're trying to make sure that we have some ability to check them off the list in advance. Just do us a favor, if you vote by absentee ballot, do not come down and vote again. It saves us it'll save us a lot of trouble. I don't know why I want to do that, but I don't want to shock anybody, but sometimes people do strange things. So, we have, the takeaway message for the council and for everybody is that we're on top of this, and we're thinking about it as best we can. We want everyone to vote, and we want everyone to be safe.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from councilors? No, I just wanted to say how much I appreciate your efforts to make sure that everyone in our community stays safe and is able to vote, because I don't think that anyone should not vote because they feel like their health is at risk. So this is one way to do it. The absentee ballots is another way, and promoting that. I'm absolutely in favor of this. In a perfect world, we would vote, as far as I'm concerned, we would vote in one location. It would be right here down, in the auditorium, and I would see everybody that I see on every election day. But these aren't normal times, and I think that, the overwhelming response that I've heard has been absolutely positive. People think this is a great solution. There have been a couple questions about whether or not this is overkill. And maybe it is, but I know that for myself, I would much rather be over-prepared because we don't know what September is going to bring, or November, once schools are open, and who knows. We've been really fortunate here in New Hampshire, but that's not necessarily going to remain the case. So I'm absolutely in favor of this resolution and the efforts that people are making to make sure that everyone is informed and can vote safely.
I understand the concerns about overkill. I'd far rather have people complain to me that we're doing too much. We want everyone to be 100% comfortable, particularly our elderly population. And we have a lot of children who come in on our election day. We're always extremely happy to see them. We want everyone to be 100% comfortable with this process. So I'm not excited about being gowned up and shielded up for the day, but that's what we have to do, and that's what we're going to do. We want people to vote. We want them to be safe.
Thank you. Seeing no other comments, if you would call the roll, please.
Council Sanders.
Aye.
Council Dumont.
Aye.
Council Kuiper.
Aye.
Council Matthews.
Aye.
Council Burns.
Aye.
Council Weinstein.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. So moving on. So I think I would first ask for a motion to suspend the rules?
Actually, you have Ellen Reed for the energy.
Oh, okay, so all right.
Yeah.
Let's still do it in order.
Yep.
Okay. So the next item is for the town council to consider nominations and appointments, and we have one this evening, and that is for Ellen Reed for position on the or Energy and Environment Committee. So I would accept a motion to approve that application.
I'll make a motion to approve Ellen Reed for the Environment and Energy Advisory Committee.
Second.
Seeing no comments, if you could call the roll, please.
Council Sanders.
Aye.
Council Dumont.
Aye.
Council Kuiper.
Aye.
Council Matthews.
Aye.
Council Burns.
Aye.
Council Weinstein.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. That's the
I would just say that we are down to like a skeleton crew on the Energy and Environment Committee, and so this is our 4th member now. We have 3 more spots, so if anyone is interested in joining that committee, contact Wendy in the town manager's office. And I'm sure that there are many other committees that are looking for people to join as well. So the next item is Resolution 2020-2021-01, and that's the CDBG funds. And so I would accept a motion to suspend the rules to approve that resolution.
I'll make a motion to, for Resolution 2020-2021-01 for the CDB funds.
Second.
And that's a motion to act on it this evening, correct?
Right, to suspend the rules,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Just to discuss the suspension of the rules. As the council knows, I do not like suspending rules. However, the Housing Authority's consultant didn't notice our council rules that requires 2 readings for any approval of a resolution or application for grant, and the grant deadline is in between our 2 meetings. That being said, I didn't want the Housing Authority or our other projects to lose the possibility of receiving this funding. So that's why I'm requesting the suspension of the rules.
I am not seeing any comments, so if you could call the roll, please.
Council Sanders.
I had a comment.
Oh,
Oh, sorry. Counselor Matthews.
Sorry, maybe I didn't click it fast enough. I had 2 comments, so if no one else, I can just get to both of them. I'd first like to thank Steve for adding to the agenda that he's requesting to suspend the rules to pass tonight. I hope that we can continue that just so that the public can understand that they need to show up tonight to be heard. I do want to express my disappointment that we are limiting the public comment and having to rush this. So I would just ask for the next round of funding that just that the contractor ensure that they get our staff the information as early as possible so we don't have to do this again. My second comment is just I have a concern with the daycare plan and study project. The goal in the ordinance says it's to encourage improved social services which provide assistance to low and moderate income persons.
Council,
But
you got to vote on the suspension of the rules before we have the discussion.
oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm out of order.
All right, so seeing no other comments, if you could call the roll, please.
Just to add, I will not allow another application like this. I agree, this needs to have a better vetting, and it will not happen. So call the roll. Council Sanders.
Aye.
Council Dumont.
Aye.
Council Kuiper.
Aye.
Council Matthews.
Aye.
Council Burns.
Aye.
Council Weinstein.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. So now, the original, to approve the resolution.
Now I will accept a motion to approve Resolution 2020-2021-01.
I will make a motion to approve the resolution for 2020-2021-01 for the CDBG fund.
Second.
We sort of discussed it and explained it during the public hearing portion. It's a number of grants, including upgrades to the Great Hill Terrace, allow us to also put in $500,000 for water line for New Road, which is a large project that we've been working on for many years. As finally, it's the $25,000 study for the childcare for Link Together. So we'll be submitting those, just the applications for those.
Councillor Matthews.
Sorry about that. I'll put my comment in the correct point in time now. I'll start from the beginning. So I have a concern with the daycare planning study project. Like I said, the goal in the ordinance is to encourage improved social services, which provides assistance to low and moderate income groups, income persons. But in the letter we received, it's more to provide affordable developmental childcare so the district can attract and retain young teachers. Childcare is an important issue affecting lots of younger individuals and families, and to say that a certain segment of the population is more important, more valued than the rest of the population, I have a problem with. So I think that the childcare slots really shouldn't be immediately said they should go to one group, but they should focus on demonstrated need, not who your employer is. So I hope that point can come up in the study. I hope that the public participation plan will gather input from others as well.
Can I speak to that?
We don't, no, council is only if the council allows members of the
Okay.
public to speak.
I'm not seeing any other comments. I will just.
Can I speak to that comment?
Madam Chair needs to call on members of the public.
Again, who was that?
That is the town planner.
Oh, yeah, the town planner would like to speak to this resolution, please.
Yes. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just wanted to point out that this is intended also to provide slots available to other residents in Newmarket and surrounding towns perhaps. Not only the teachers, there's a second floor that's planned as part of the proposal, and that would serve a greater number of childcare slots. So it's not intended that it would be just for one exclusive group, but it would be townwide as well, anyone who is interested and qualified. So I just wanted to clarify that. That's what the intent is at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I would just add, I know that Ms. Cooper currently works in the school, and so I think that that's one person's view of the needs, because she's seeing those needs on a regular basis. It's been an awfully long time since I've had to look for that level of childcare, thank God. But I do remember at the time it was really challenging to find affordable, appropriate, safe childcare. And I just think that anything that we can do to enhance the opportunities for young parents in Newmarket would be beneficial to everyone in the community. Teachers being one segment of young teachers in particular being one segment of the population that really does need affordable, quality childcare. So I am not seeing any other comments. I can't see.
And one more additional comment.
We can't hear you, Diane.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I just lost my, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, forgive me. I just wanted to mention that we did have a meeting with the manager of the CDBG program at the New Hampshire Community Development Finance Authority, and she indicated to me that they were very, very interested in daycare. That's one of their top priorities under their program for funding this year. So we were encouraged to put together the feasibility study so that we could put together a strong application going forward. And I just wanted to highlight that that is one of the state's priorities this year for funding. So having said that. I wanted to support the application on behalf of Link Together and hard work that Donna Lehner.
You're cutting in and out, Diane.
Okay, I just wanted to say that very much I'm in support of this, and I hope the council will be able to support it going forward.
And one other comment that I'd like to make is, you know, we talk a lot about the graying of New Hampshire and sort of what's needed in our communities. And one of the things that if we want to keep young people and keep our kids even in the communities that they have been raised in, and we want them to come back here, affordable, quality childcare is one of those things. Quality schools is one of those things that attracts and keeps young people here in Newmarket and in the state of New Hampshire. So I'm absolutely in support of this. And in general, I just wanted to say that while I also don't like suspending the rules, it's potentially $1 million for our community. So if every now and then we have to suspend the rules, so be it. It's also kind of a challenging time with just one meeting in July and one meeting in August. So I, again, support this resolution. I'm not seeing any other requests to speak, so if you could call the roll, please.
Counselor Sanders.
Aye.
Counselor Dumont.
Aye.
Counselor Kuiper.
Aye.
Counselor Matthews.
Aye.
Counselor Burns.
Aye.
Counselor Weinstein.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right.
I have the other resolution. Do you want me to read that?
I just pulled it up.
Okay.
This is a resolution in the first reading. It's Resolution 2020-2021-02, paving improvements. Whereas the town has extended the paving contract with Bell & Flynn LLC for another year with a price decrease, and whereas the following roads are on the road management plan schedule for this year: Dame Road, Terrace Drive, Langs Lane, Lamprey Street, Ham Street Extension, Sanborn Ave, Boardman Ave, Maple Street, Moonlight Drive, Nichols Ave, Washington Street, Lincoln Ave, Barbary Coast Road, and Moody Point Drive. And whereas the town budgeted $160,000 toward this expenditure in the operating budget, and an additional $250,000 was budgeted in the Capital Reserve Fund to fund the road management plan that was adopted. The Capital Reserve Fund had a balance of $316,214 on July 1st. The Municipal Transportation Fund had a balance of $273,358 on July 1st. Now therefore be it resolved by the Newmarket Town Council that the town manager enter into any agreements with Bell & Flynn LLC with a dollar amount not to exceed $500,000, with $160,000 coming from the operating budget, $260,000 coming from the Capital Reserve Fund, and $80,000 coming from the Municipal Transportation Fund. First reading July 15th, 2020. And then the next item that we have on our agenda is correspondence to the town, and we do have some correspondence this evening. Should I read it?
I can read it. Okay.
Yeah, it didn't come up for me.
Fellow Newmarket Town Council members, Newmarket Town Manager, please accept this as a formal notification that I'm resigning my position on the Newmarket Town Council at the end of the month, effective June 30th, 2020. This includes my representative role as representative to the Conservation Commission, as well as the Riverfront Advisory Committee. It is with heavy heart that I will be moving out of town in July and will no longer be a resident. In normal circumstances, I would have hoped to give you a little more lead time to find a replacement. However, a lot was up in the air until recently. It's been great working with my fellow councilors who bring great thought, care, and innovative ideas to move the town forward. It renewed my faith in the political process to see people being able to work so well together. Likewise, it was great learning from such a knowledgeable and skilled town manager. I know the town is in good hands, and I can't wait to visit in the near future. Best wishes, Casey Finch, Town Councilor.
So do we need a motion to accept?
Motion to accept the resignation, with regrets usually.
So I would accept a motion to accept the letter from Counselor Finch with regrets.
I will make a motion to accept Counselor Finch's letter with regrets.
Second.
Counselor Dumont.
Yes. I just wanted to take a moment. I was not expecting Councilor Finch to resign, but 2 years ago when I was first elected to the town council, Casey was just a really good personality to meet right off the bat. He went out of his way to make me feel welcome to this council, to help teach me the process with my first couple of meetings, and really make sure that that level of communication and knowledge was passed from one councilor to the next. I think that his work on the Conservation Commission and just in the town in general just goes above and beyond, and I'm really sad that Newmarket is losing him, and I'm sad that the council's losing him as well. But I just wanted to say, for the record, thank you, Casey, and this town will definitely miss you.
Thank you, very well said. I agree, I worked with Casey for 3 years, and sad to see him go. Casey was a very an even presence on the council, and measured and very thoughtful, and did his homework, and it's a real loss to our community. So hopefully he will come and visit. I'm not seeing any other requests to speak, so if you could call the roll, please.
Just
sorry.
procedurally.
Oh, sorry.
What happens next? According to section 3.5 of the town charter, as soon as a vacancy occurs, the council has, at its next regular meeting by a majority of the council, to fill the position. What I would suggest is that we advertise that there's a vacancy on the town council, and those interested should submit a letter of interest with some background information to the town clerk's office. And we can provide that before, we'll figure out a date so we can make sure it's enough time to get in the packets. And then at the next meeting, you'd vote, and that person would stay on until the next election.
Do you think 2 weeks is appropriate? Or?
I don't have any choice. It says your next regularly scheduled meeting.
No, but we have about a month in between our next.
5th, August 5th is your next.
Oh, I didn't. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So.
Oh, I thought we only had one scheduled for August.
We do. We take the second one off.
Oh, I have.
About that at our
Yeah.
meeting.
Okay, I put the wrong date in my calendar.
So.
Good thing that we had this conversation. So the 29th would be 2 weeks.
Yes. So we can do that.
Okay.
Now to vote.
Yes. Now if you would call the roll, please.
Counselor Sanders.
Aye.
Counselor Dumont.
Aye.
Counselor Kuiper.
Aye.
Counselor Matthews. Counselor Matthews.
Aye.
Counselor Burns.
Aye.
Counselor Weinstein.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
I'm sorry, Counselor Matthews, I did not see your request to speak. Was that in regards to this?
Yeah, I just had a follow-up to Steve. How does this work at our next meeting? Are we public for all this? If there's multiple people, how does that process work?
Two things. You have to vote in public, and you have to have any discussion on public.
Okay.
So there's not allowed to have a secret ballot.
Okay, I didn't know if that RSA fell under for something like this, but thank you.
No, if you're hiring an individual, but at the election of board members, you have to do that in public.
And depending probably on the number of applicants that we get, just like if we have multiple applicants for chair or vice chair, we call the roll and say, if it's, John Smith, you would say John Smith, and I would say Jane Doe, and whoever we support. Councilor Matthews, were you all set?
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay. Councilor Dumont.
Yes, as noted by his resignation letter, we now have 2 spots open on 2 separate committees and boards. Would 2 weeks be enough time for us to consider if we wanted to take on an extra role, or should we elect our new counselor and then go into the September meeting before we fill those 2 positions? My only concern is if there are projects that are coming up or items that need to be followed up on, I don't want there to be some overhang.
Typically, you wait until the new council because they would have an opportunity to serve on those committees.
Okay. Do we know if at least the Conservation Commission had a second, like a
I'd
backup
have to
person?
look.
No, there wasn't a second for the Conservation Commission, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I don't think there's an alternate, but I'll double check. But
I didn't think so, but that's why I was curious.
yeah, yeah, you leave these vacant until
All right. Thank you.
vote. Yeah.
And the person, whoever that is that we appoint, will serve until March, and at
April.
that, or
April.
April.
Change
Right.
the charter.
So
April.
Right.
Just to the next, to 20.
Yep.
Okay, that was my question.
And then if they're interested, they can run.
Right, yeah.
If they want to continue. And then that position will be a 2-year position.
Okay.
Because it would finish
His
his term.
Okay.
Did we vote?
Yep.
Okay. Wonderful. All right, so moving on. Any closing comments by counselors? I am seeing none. All right, well, thank you, everybody. It was exciting, I will say, it was exciting to be back in Town Hall and to be here, well, some of us to be here in Town Hall. And I think that while this format is a little wonky, and it's tough because I can't actually see everybody, I have to turn around, but I think that it's a great hybrid.
I think what I'll do is I'll send out the council rules and procedures and just the rules of etiquette in a meeting, because that may help as well, to make sure the chair, make sure that people recognize in those kind of situations before they talk.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's
We didn't really get to go over that because the first meeting we had was Zoom.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. So, you know what? I did not say, I'm sorry, I meant to bring it up during our committee comments. We did have a joint meeting with, or the leadership of the SAU and Town Hall, so our town manager and the superintendent met with myself and the chair of the school board 2 weeks ago? A week
Last
ago.
week.
Last week. And so we talked about a couple of things. One, the first item that we discussed was the shared facilities director position, and where we left it was that our town manager would review the MOU and get back to the school superintendent with any changes. I know that the school wanted to make some fairly significant changes to the structure of the MOU. So they will work that out together and then at some point come back to their respective bodies for that approval in order to move forward. So there's that, and then the other item that we discussed was our joint meeting. So every year, the town council invites the school board to a joint meeting. And we talked about a couple different dates. Our first date that we talked about was August, and that didn't really work because it was their first day back at school for teachers, so it didn't work for the superintendent. So we pushed it into September, and some of that agenda stuff will be forthcoming, but we did talk about the return to school and basically how that has, what they implemented and how it's been progressing at that point. Elections will be another item that we'll be talking about. At that point, we will have had the primary, but we can talk about the upcoming general election. And then we also talked about a joint training, and that would be done in non-public. So a safety training, something that we had done a few years back. Gosh, probably like 4 years ago now. So an update to that. And I think that was it. So we'll hammer that out over the next bunch of weeks and make sure that gets to everybody. So it's September 23rd. And I believe we said 6 o'clock, but again, I'll double check the time. It might have been 6:30. Councillor Dumont.
I understand September 23rd is still a long time from now. Well, it feels like that. But do we have the space that's large enough for all of us to meet?
We're looking at the gymnasium.
Okay. That's what I was assuming. I just wasn't sure.
Yep.
Yeah, so it would be at this one
It's
of
a
the
lot of
schools.
social distancing.
Oh, it's a good point. And the public, that's also a public meeting, so the public would also be invited to attend if they so wished.
Thank you.
So, seeing no other comments, I will consider us adjourned. Thank you.